Hello, this is Nell Solo. I'd like to invite you to consider if you have a loved one who could benefit from realizing that vegetable oils may not be as healthy as they have been told, and to share this or another video like this with them.
This is our published data on heart disease deaths in the red there. This is over the last more than century, since 1900. And you'll see so heart disease deaths in the red versus vegetable oil in the black. And you see this very, extraordinary positive correlation. So a very strong relationship between those two. And then we see saturated fat in the purple line there that's virtually a flat line. So saturated fat increased about 5 grams during the entire 20th century. This graph alone, I think, would prove to the world that saturated fat had nothing to do with coronary heart disease. There's just no relationship whatsoever. Although correlation is not causation, on the flip side, you must have correlation in order to prove causation. And
Yes.
so here, you do not have any substantial correlation between saturated fat and coronary heart disease deaths, but you've got this extraordinary relationship between, positive relationship between vegetable oil and coronary heart disease.
So if a researcher were going to research something just by looking at this graph, you would think that a smart researcher wouldn't say, I'm really going to look into the correlation between saturated fat and heart disease deaths. That doesn't really make common sense there, does it?
Sure doesn't, right? Yeah, you wouldn't look at this and ever think, that you should be investigating saturated fat. It would be precisely the opposite, wouldn't it? Since 1909, the total fat has gone up, but we can see that almost all of that is related to vegetable oil fats and not animal fats. So animal fats have been on the decline over the past century. And we're consuming dramatically less animal fat today than we did back in 1909. And for those who aren't aware, and I don't think I have all this data here, but we really had no coronary heart disease in the 19th century. It was an extraordinarily rare disorder. I think there is either 8 or 9 papers on coronary heart disease in the entire 19th century, whereas and only 2 or 3 of those related to thrombotic disease. In other words, a myocardial infarction or heart attack. But the first documented heart attack in the United States was in 1912, published by James Herrick. And then by 1930s, coronary heart disease became the leading cause of death and has remained the leading cause of death ever since.
DoctorsToTrust.com